Hey guys, it's Wednesday afternoon. I got some really good sunlight right now, so I thought I'd throw together another quick lesson. This is Luke. This is maybe more for people on demo team. I want to talk about commas. If you're on demo team and you start learning weapons, usually you'll start with the commas. They're great to start with. They're affordable, they are compact and easy to transport. This one is a polyurethane hard plastic. I started with ones that were wood with a metal blade, but it's kind of like a metal that would bend really easily. So this is a good alternative. You can drop it and it won't cut into the floor or your mats or your foot or anything like that. So they're a good option. If you want to pick one of these up, talk to Mr. or Mrs. Yee, and they'll tell you how to get them. But today, I just wanted to cover some simple basics. Start with the history of the comma, right? This was usually a farming tool, right? A wooden handle with a big blade. It was used to cut down crops like rice fields or sugarcane. You'd hold the stalk, chop it down. So usually a farmer would probably only hold one of these at a time. How did that get turned into a martial arts performance weapon? It's hard to say. A lot of these farming tools are popular in agricultural communities in like southern China, and by way of trade, places like the Philippines and Okinawa got hip to the tools. Those tools got used in training for traditional martial arts, and I think it probably came to America by way of a karate grandmaster named Fumio Demura, who published a lot of books on karate weapons. And one of Fumio Demura's students was the late Mr. Steve Fisher, who's one of Mr. Yi's instructors. And in the 80s, performance martial arts with weapons kind of got popularized by the West Coast demo team. So that's a whole movement that you should look into. Google it. It'll help you understand kind of why we use commas for forms. With that little history lesson aside, let's get into some of the basic movements, all right? Okay guys, we're gonna get into the basic movements with the commas. For now, we're just gonna start with one comma and we're just gonna focus on the hand movements, right? So grab your comma. Okay, we don't have to worry about stance or anything right now. We're just gonna focus on some basic strikes, okay? So, you usually wanna grab in the middle, a little slack on the end and the blade at the top. Okay, in the resting position, I want you to think about holding your comma at your hip, right? Just like you're a cowboy in the Old West and you got your gun in its holster, our return position for any strike with the comma is going to be to our hip to start. There's other positions which we can cover later, but for now, let's just pull it to the hip, right? So for the first strike, we're going to do X strikes, okay? I'm going to pull this up to my head and I'm going to cut across from left to right. Left shoulder to my right hip. And I'm going to come up to the right side, right shoulder to left hip, and then I bring it back. Okay? It comes up, down, okay? Just like an X. 1, 2, 1, and 2. Okay, if I did this without the comma, right, and we're going into form basics, right, it's just like an inward block, right? Here, inward block. The second strike is just like a down block. Inward block, down block, except in this case I'm cutting through and going past the center line since I have a bladed weapon. Okay, so let's do it again. 1 and 2. Okay, let's do it 5 times. 1, 2, bring it back to the hip. 3, 4, and 5. Okay, switch to the other side. Now I'm going the opposite way, right to left. Left to right. 1, 2, bring it back, 3, 4, and 5, okay? Second strike, okay? First we did cross, now we're just gonna go horizontal, okay? I'm starting with the left, I'm gonna pull it up same way, I'm gonna cut straight across. 1, turn the blade over, 2, pull it back to the hip. 1, 2, 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, switch, ready, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, okay. Finally, we're just gonna go straight down as our last basic strike, okay. So from the hip, I lift up, come straight down, it stops, then I pull it back. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'll switch the angle so you can see. Okay, straight out, straight back, out and back, out, back, out and back. Okay, this side, X strike. 1, 2, horizontal. 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so we got 5 strikes total. This is angle 1, angle 2, angle 3, angle 4, angle 5. Then it comes back. So we kind of got like a star shape, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It comes back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It comes back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. X. Horizontal, straight down, and back. One more time. A few times on the side. X. Horizontal, straight down. More. Okay. Now if you got a pair, go ahead and grab the other one. Okay, now I can do alternating X strikes. 1, 2, 1, 2. I can do alternating horizontal strikes. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Alternating downward strikes. 1, 2. It comes back. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay. So that covers the basic strikes with just the commas, going X, horizontal, straight down. Practice with 1 comma, practice with 2 commas. Now, second step, we're going to combine it with a stance, okay? Okay guys, I had to switch the angle a little bit so I have some more room. Before we get to the commas with the stances, I need to explain a variation of the front stance that works really well for doing performance kata or performance forms or demonstration forms. Might not be something you'll use tremendously on demo team, but in those little moments where you have time to do solo performance within the forms, this is something that you could apply, and it's a good way to take the comma strikes that we just learned and turn them into a repetitious drill type pattern so that you can practice your stance and your cuts at the same time. Okay, so right, normally if we're doing a front stance, right, I want my feet shoulder width apart and I want to lunge forward, right? So just like I have my body on 2 railroad tracks, okay, the right side and the left side, okay, but for purposes of this exercise, we're going to do something that's kind of like a cheat front stance where both of our feet are on the same track, right? Not necessarily good for balance, but good visually. which is I'll explain now. The one stance we do have where our feet are on the same track is the horse stance, okay? So we measure that out, bend down. Now I'm even, my legs are on a straight line, and if I make it look like a front stance, I can switch back and forth between sides much easier than I'd have to transition between a full shoulder width apart front stance. So here I have a right lunge or front stance, and then I can switch right away to the left just by changing my hips and my knee, okay? So one knee bent, back leg straight, and switch, switch, right? I can turn my upper body as much as I need to sell the stance transition, but this allows me to change back and forth really quickly. So it's really common in performance forms and in wushu. So now we're going to combine it with some of the basic strikes that we learned with the kamas. Okay? So get into your horse stance and find your lunge. Okay. Now let's say for my right front stance, I'm going to start with the left X strike. So I go 1, 2, X strike, I pull it back to the hip, then I switch my stance. X strike, switch, 1, 2, switch, X, 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 and back, okay? Now just the horizontals, going to my stance, 1, 2, turn, 1, 2, turn, 1, 2, 2. Just straight down, boom, 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 boom. Okay. Now, where it gets really fun is that you just start to make combos, different cuts, and string them together. So one that's really common would be a down block cut, and our last number 5 strike straight down. Down block, cut. I pull it back. Down block, cut, pull it back, down block, cut, pull, down, cut. Okay, let's do a 3-hit combo. Let's go down block, straight down cut, horizontal cut, then turn, down block, straight cut, horizontal, down, cut, across, down, cut, across, down, cut, across, down, cut, across. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Over and over again. Do 100 reps until it becomes reflex, right? Now you can get pretty creative. Let's think of a 4-hit combo off the top of my head. Let's see. Let's build off this 1, 2, then I'm going to drop it down. Now I'm going to go rising block, cut, 3, 4, and back. Down block, cut, rising block, cut, down, cut, rising block, cut. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Obviously, there's other variations of cut. One I really like is I like to think of it as the 7 cut. 1 inward, 1 downward. In and down. In, down. In, down, in, down. Rising block, across, rising block, across. Rising block, across, rising block, across, right? I can go up and across, pull them back together, or I can break it up. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, just get creative with it, stay consistent, and do lots of repetitions. Work the stance change. Okay. And the good thing about this type of exercise, again, you don't need a whole lot of room. And even if you don't have commas, you can just do it with your hands, right? So it's just like another form of form basics. All right, time for me to go. Have fun.